Joe, welcome back to BetMGM tonight. Just a redonkulous slate upcoming here in week 5 of the college football season. So naturally, let's start off with a team that lost by 53 last week in the biggest game of the year in the Big Ten. Tongue firmly planted in cheek. My ILL homecoming. We're taking on USC. They're in Champaign. It's also Aria Speedwagon Day. The band's going to be in the house. For those of you who like to rock out to 70s and 80s, old classic music, which I do. Even after the slaughter in Indiana, Horv is picking my Illini plus 6.5, largely because of the 9 a.m. Pacific time kickoff. And thank you, Fox, for that, by the way. What's your pick in this one? But will I be leaving at halftime during the REO Speedwagon performance, or am I going to sit through the bitter end at Memorial Stadium and possibly, just possibly, go home happy? So what do you like? USC minus 6.5 at Illinois.
So, by the way, during the Indiana game, I be very honest with you, I was thinking about you. I was like, oh my God, I'm sure that the mood is going to be tough at the beginning of the week. So you were talking about tequila. So the whole time I'm thinking like he's probably battling through it like any of us would. But I'm sorry to deliver a negative take on your Illini again, because I did talk about Indiana last week and why I liked them. The same problem for Illinois is going to be an issue here for them this week. And it's that they're facing a team that's a lot more explosive than them. We have a USC team that is in the upper category for EPA per dropback. They are just generating a lot of big plays because Maeva has been playing well. Mekhi Lemon is fantastic. And I know Jacoby Lane's been a little bit banged up, but if he ends up being available, that is going to be impactful as well. The other part about this and why I'm really fearful for what Illinois is going to do in this and why I think USC is going to cover, USC is one of the best pass rushes in college football right now. They are a sack leader. They are very dominant at getting after the quarterback. And I know that they haven't really faced any formidable offensive lines. Illinois has allowed 16 sacks through 4 games. They are giving up a lot of pressures to Luke Altmaier. And I think that that's been the driving force why they've been struggling. Not to mention, we're talking about here the injuries in their secondary that they suffered against Indiana that led to the loss being as lopsided as it was. As much as the time zone factor is worth discussing and bringing up with this, they're apparently traveling on Thursday to be a little bit careful in order to give themselves a buffer. I think that USC is the team with tremendous momentum, while Illinois is reeling with injuries and this just not being a good stylistic battle for them.
Totally agree. Let's talk about one of the big ones. I mean, it's kind of like choose your own adventure. Which one is the big one, especially in this primetime slate? Let's go Oregon, Penn State, though, because Penn State brings like everybody back, man. I know that they lose Abdul Carter and Tyler Warren, but Drew Aller's back, Singleton's back, Katron Allen's back. They hire Jim Knowles as their defensive coordinator, and they're at home here against Oregon. The Ducks have looked really good on the offensive side of the ball with Dante Moore taking over at quarterback. Right now, you could get Oregon 3.5-point dogs, so you're getting more than a field goal still here with the Ducks. What do you like? Penn State at home, 3.5-point favorites, total 51.5 against Oregon.
So I took Oregon 3.5, and first of all, I think this game is going to be really close, and that's the big driving force for this, that if theoretically a game like this could even go to overtime, and if we end up getting into a shootout duel, it's back and forth. I like the fact that there's that 3-point little cushion that we're being granted here, or 3.5-point cushion, rather. I think looking at both these teams, there's a lot of ways that this game could turn out. Penn State's been really shaky throwing the football, and Drew Aller has been struggling quite a bit. Is this an opportunity for him when the lights come on in the big setting at night in Happy Valley? Does he get unlocked? And is Andy Kotelnicki maybe not showing us everything, and he's ready to open up the offense against this Oregon Ducks defense? Meanwhile, Oregon's red hot, but is everything that we've seen, is it fake? Is it the fact that they've just been beating up on bad teams and they've been embarrassing everybody, but they're not ready to go toe-to-toe with a defensive juggernaut like this Penn State team? I think that with the evidence that we currently have, we have to go with Oregon, though, knowing that Dante Moore's been the better quarterback. If this comes down to each team getting a final drive, I want Dante Moore. And more importantly, I really think that Dan Lanning has shown us an ability to win these big games when he won against Ohio State last year. I know he doesn't have a super long track record, but I think that we're starting to see an ascension for Dan Lanning as one of the best coaches in the sport, and this allows for him to notch a win, or at the very least, on our betting side of things to cover in this game.
Georgia today moves to a 2.5, up to a 3-point favorite against Alabama. What do you like in this one? I feel like everybody likes Georgia. I haven't heard anybody make the case for Bama, at least on the network here yet. What do you think?
I like Georgia, but the problem is what you just said. I always get really, really careful when, or not careful. I get spooked when everybody's taking the same team. And I always like to bring up, it's a fallacy when we think that, just because everybody wants them, we're thinking that the outcome is going to be jinxed. I think, though, for this game and why so many people like Georgia, we've got an Alabama team that's struggling to run the football, and they have a very inconsistent offensive line going up against a Kirby Smart defense. And I think the biggest part with this, Gunnar Stockton showed that he can handle the pressure of a late game with the way that he played against Tennessee. I was really impressed, and I was one of the people that was cutting through the noise against Tennessee, that people were worried going into that game that he was gun shy, and the complete opposite was the case for the guy named Gunnar. He was obviously willing to take shots and to be aggressive. So I think that in this matchup, trying to get revenge for last year, trying to get your lick back from last season and having lost to Alabama, I think Kirby's incredibly motivated. And I think that this Georgia squad is much improved from the deficiencies that they had last season when they fell to the Tide.
We're breaking everything down at college football ahead of the monster Week 5 slate with the one, the only Joe Deleone, host of the Ruffino and Joe Show and the Hack City Podcast, college football and NFL analyst for A to Z Sports. Give him a follow on X at Joe Deleone. Again, on X at Joe Deleone. Joe, heading back to the Big Ten, which road team is a bigger upset alert candidate in your mind? Ohio State at Washington. The Huskies are plus 250 on the money line. Or Indiana, again, coming off that beatdown of Illini. They're going to Iowa City to take on the Hawkeyes. Iowa plus 240 on the money line. So who is going to be really shivering in their cleats more? Ohio State on the road at Washington or Indiana on the road at Iowa?
So first of all, I really like Indiana to cover against Iowa. I don't think that this Iowa team has any capability to keep up. If Indiana gets in just the slightest bit of a rhythm, I think that they can absolutely smoke them, and especially knowing that Kurt Cignetti is the covering king because he likes blowing out every team that he plays. So that's my quick thought on that game. I think, though, there is a possibility, and I implore people, maybe not put a big bet down on this, but if you want to toss out that unexpected home dog that you're looking for, that unexpected underdog this weekend, just a couple of bucks, whatever it is to keep things a little exciting, I think Washington's the team. We're talking about a West Coast trip for this Ohio State squad, having to adapt to one of the more underrated hard settings to play in. While I think Ohio State is a tremendous team and that even if they lost this game, I don't think it really affects our perception of them. This is just your typical trap game for the setting and for the quarterback that they have to deal with. I talked about Damon Williams in the preseason, and so far he's living up to the expectations that I had for him. He is a new version of Kyler Murray, where he's small, he is slippery, he is impossible to wrangle. He will completely disrupt you and get in your head because he is so shifty, and he is like a point guard back there playing quarterback. Knowing what he has right now with Jonah Coleman and Denzel Boston, as well as on the defensive side of the ball with the tall physical corners that they have, there is an opportunity for an upset. I don't think it's super likely, but if we're to project here the crazy upset of the week, I think it's Washington. I do like the thought of Washington covering because of that chance that Damon Williams leads one late drive, a backdoor cover ends up happening because of that capability that he brings to the table.
Yeah, we're already seeing the spread shift in that exact narrative direction with Washington now catching 8.5. The line was double figures earlier in the week, so you might be onto something. I know Horvey agrees with you there. Though Michael Montgomery working the video board on BetMGM tonight. Die-hard Iowa fan. He went to a school there in Iowa City. I think he vehemently disagrees with your perspective on Indiana, but I am never fading Indiana ever again after what I witnessed last Saturday. Thank you, Tequila, to help quell the pain and suffering. Joe will get you out of here on this. Pick your poison. Give us another game or two on a loaded Week 5 college football slate. You obviously and absolutely love, whether on a side, a total, or a money line, whether a couple of games have your attention.
So I've got two this week. One of my favorite things to do when I bet is I love to bet against teams after they fired their coach. Or sometimes it's even juicier when there's some sort of a coaching scandal, and then usually you bet against that team as well. I like Baylor minus 20.5 against Oklahoma State, and I like NC State minus 10.5 going up against Virginia Tech. I think Virginia Tech's a little bit more settled after the Brent Pry firing, but I think that team is so unmotivated. They were slowly losing attention to detail week over week after they looked pretty solid against South Carolina in week one. I think that team is cooked. I think that they're mailing it in. But Oklahoma State, more importantly, this is the worst possible matchup you could be stepping into. Sawyer Robertson and that passing attack that is so productive, and they will attack you deep. They are going to be able to hit big play after big play against this Oklahoma State team that hasn't looked like they cared even when Gundy was there. And I think that the firing, knowing his importance for the university, the identity of the team, the identity of the region in Stillwater, we're expecting them to come out swinging and them to come out fighting. No, I think that Baylor is going to have a very, very easy time covering that 20.5 point spread.
I totally agree. I think the Cowboys going to be firing off Quaker guns. For you enthusiasts have no idea history and what that is a reference. Quakers were pacifists. They were like wooden guns. They actually didn't fire a damn bullet. That's exactly what Oklahoma State is packing there in Stillwater. Totally agree. I'm going to tell you on that and lay in the heavy chalk with the Baylor Bears. Outstanding stuff as always from our guy, Joe Deleone, host of the Ruffino and Joe Show and the Hack City Podcast, college football and NFL draft analyst for A to Z Sports. Give him a follow on X at Jackals at Joe Deleone. Again, on X at Joe Deleone. Joe, we appreciate the time as always. Enjoy the matchups this weekend. And I guess I'm leaving at halftime of the Illinois game, so thank you for that.
Of course, guys. Thanks so much for having me.
All right, there he goes. Joe Deleone. A little bit of disagreement with you on a couple of things. He likes Oregon. Plus the 3.5 right now, and the whiteout and 100,000 people in full throat there at Beaver Stadium. Man, that environment is just going to be off the hook. It's going to be deafening. It's rather amazing. Can't wait to watch that. And I just, again, I love that call on the Baylor Bears. Watching Oklahoma State last Thursday and like an idiot wagering on them, and then just see him squander chance after chance after chance, not playing a lick of defense against Tulsa, the Golden Hurricane. They look like a Category 5 on the Saffir-Simpson scale. More weather nerd terminology for you. Oklahoma State is done. They may not win another game this entire year. Are you backing him on Baylor laying the 20.5 against OSU?
Oh, I'm not going to bet that game. If I had to, it would probably be Baylor, though. It's a big number. Baylor should be pissed off. They have 2 losses now. Sawyer Robertson should be pissed off because if his team is even 3-1 right now, he's probably in the Heisman conversation. He's already thrown for 1,320 yards, 13 touchdowns, and only 3 picks. Their problem is, though, man, they can't get stops. I usually like to do it the other way. I go with the dead cat bounce. If a coach gets fired, I usually bet said team the following week to cover. New message. Right, I think it's I think that's been a long time coming with Gundy. I mean, they had 40 players transfer out of the program 2 years ago, including their starting quarterback. He decided I would rather go be a backup elsewhere than be the starter here in Spencer Sanderson. So I just think that there's something really, really off there, man. But if I had to bet the game, it would be Baylor. I think they're going to be able to score enough. I just don't trust their defense to get consistent stops.